back. Good to see you again. I hope you had an amazing Halloween. I love the fall. It's all about renewal and new beginnings and shedding the old in with the new. For me, at least, that's what it means to me. Just let's get right into it. I wanted to talk about this topic that's been really meaningful to me and of great concern for women of my age range, but it can apply to women of all ages as well. I wanted to talk about a soundbite that I listened to on YouTube from Jordan Peterson, who is a clinical psychology professor at, I believe, the University of Toronto. So Jordan Peterson is known for his views on cultural and political issues. The soundbite that I listened to was meant for women in childbearing age, but I think the soundbite was entitled Women in Their 30s. I can link that in the description below if you wanted to listen to that on your own time. And maybe you can listen to it now and pause the video and come back when you've listened to it, or you can just continue on and hear my opinions on what he said about it. He referenced women and their dichotomy between having a career and having a family and choosing both, to have both. So the issue that would come up for many of these women, and I guess they were his patients or his students or the women that he studied, very high-powered, highly educated women. These are women who excelled in their schooling, went to very good universities, and at the top of their class. Once they graduated, they got top-notch jobs, and they weren't just jobs, they were careers, and they became partners at their law firms, and other high-powered women that had reached the uppermost career echelons. So these were the demographic that he had studied and talked to, I guess counseled. And the main issue that they would always bring up was their desire to have a family life and a personal life in addition to their thriving career. They were both very important to them, and they wanted to figure out how they could have both. These were the types of women, the very type A, driven, motivated, sharp, intellectual women who were taking on a lot at work. So because they're recognized for their achievements and their education and their drive, they often worked long hours. At a certain point, once they had gotten to this high level in their career, they wanted to have a family. I think I want kids, or I want a husband and want to start family. There must be something else to life apart from my career that should fulfill me. And which is true, because your career shouldn't be your only source of fulfillment. I think as Americans identify a lot with our careers and our jobs, and we place a huge amount of identity on that as opposed to other cultures. And this is just my own personal anecdotes, meeting people from other countries and cultures, telling me this as their experience living in America, that we tend to identify a lot with our careers rather than our hobbies or interests or passions outside of that, which other countries and cultures tend to identify more with than their careers, which are more external. So back to my point, these women were beginning to want something deeper than what their career was giving them. They wanted to be fulfilled in other ways. They wanted to start families, they wanted to start having children, maybe wanted to find the perfect partner to build that family with. Coming from a super stressful, highly competitive career that these women were in, they felt that it was costing them their personal life. And it was just time for them to look inward and figure out what they really wanted. And a lot of the times this was having a family. And the question here is, can you have a fulfilled life without kids? And many women do choose to go the route without kids in favor of their careers, and that's completely fine. It's a personal choice. However, there's the other side of the coin, and a different demographic of women wanted to have a family in addition to their career. It's not just all about the first half of life, and I think that's what our modern culture enforces, all about youth and working so hard, getting money, getting financially secure, saving, but what happens to you in the second part of life when you retire and you begin to think about these things and family, and you want family around you, which is perfectly normal and makes sense. And a lot of these women thought to themselves, I built this career, I spent a lot of time, energy, and money, and drive, and passion into creating this career for myself. And the career is, of course, very important. And they didn't want children and family to be, in a way, creative and spiritual suicide for them. And this is also very extreme jargon here. But they just didn't want their wants and needs and spiritual development and hobbies and creativity and the reason they came to Earth to be squashed by having children. And this is what Jordan Peterson talked about, how many people fear kids because they think they will be mini tyrants and take away all the fun out of life. Common misconception, and he did bring this to light. He said there is a solution, that kids do not have to be spiritual or creative suicide. You can nurture your artistic talents and skills, and you can write that play, you can write that book, you can paint, you can draw, you can dance, you can do pretty much anything with kids. You just have to schedule your life so that you can pursue your creative endeavors. So it does not have to be the end of you when you start a family. And that, for myself personally, is what I thought. Like, if I had kids, that's what I was taught through my mom. Like, oh, get your education first and get your career first and then have children, which does make sense. But it doesn't have to be the case for everyone, because everyone's journey is different. And having kids does not have to be the death of you, the metaphorical death of you. You just have to schedule your time correctly. You're the one in charge. You're the adult. So don't let the kid take over your life. Don't let the kid develop into someone that you would dislike. A lot of people let children get out of hand and take up all of their time. You don't have to let children take up all of your time. Be there for the child, but not more than what they need and require. And you have to be the planner. You have to be the person who sets the limits. Kids do not have to devour your life. Set yourself up so that you can have children and a life. And he says this is definitely possible, and it's easier than you think. And he also recommended having more than one child so that the children can amuse themselves, as opposed to having an only child, and that would put more pressure on you to entertain the child and be there for them and prevent them from getting bored. So that would be more of a time drain on you to have an only child, which makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I personally would rather have 2 children or maybe 3, just so that they could all entertain themselves and I wouldn't have to, be responsible for entertaining them for everything. I mean, of course I will be there and I will play with them, but it helps to have more children and they can all befriend each other, and it would help in the long run when they grow up to have allies that are, siblings. Lastly, Dr. Jordan Peterson said that you have a tremendous amount of control over the quality of the relationship with your child. You can choose how you disperse your time with them. You can be in charge of your household. The children do not have to be in charge. So you are the captain of the ship, so to speak. You make the rules. If they need to go to bed at a certain time, make sure they go to bed at a certain time. They need to eat at a certain time, eat at a certain time. Your rules should stand. And that doesn't mean that you have to be an authoritarian. No, by any means, no. You make the rules and they will follow them. Be there for your child and in every way that they need. But remember that you have a personal life, you have your own time, and you should schedule that time. Don't be afraid of children. They will not take over your life unless you let them. It is important to know this, because I was just taught that kids will, once you have kids, you go bye-bye out the window. All your passions, all your hobbies, all your interests, all your you time gets sucked away by this little mini child. I was afraid of having a child or more children. I value my personal time. I value my creative time, my downtime. And I just was hearing from a lot of people that, oh, you're never going to have downtime, or you're never going to have time for yourself. And, oh, you're never going to paint or dance or blah, 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 because the kid will take up your whole life. And I was just hearing this from my mother and other family members. And, it's all around you, I feel. But then again, everyone's experience is different. That was my experience from listening to other people. I guess we should take that with a grain of salt. You are in charge and you set the schedule. Children are wonderful, and I personally can't wait to have children. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to that journey and my career journey and unfolding together. So I hope this brought you joy, and I hope it resonated with you. If so, please subscribe to my podcast. And if my channel brings you joy, feel free to subscribe to my channel. And follow me on Instagram too. I will link that below, as well as the Jordan Peterson soundbite that I had talked about. Thank you so much for listening, and hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.